Hey guys, in this video we're going to paint this cute little snowman. Get your canvas out and ready. Your paint put on your plate. I've got white, Venetian red, the burnt orange color, Mars black, phthalo green, chrome yellow, bright red, and phthalo blue. I think that's all we're going to need. You may have more, I don't know. Painting this for the first time, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to start out. You're going to need a Sharpie for this one. So I'm going to outline things that I don't want to have to worry about going around. I can just paint over them. So we'll do the birdhouse. We'll do these little sticks, these little arms. We'll dot his little buttons, his little eyeballs, his little smiley. Nose, kind of made a mess of that. About his gloves. This goofy little blob that is a bird. I think the rest will be just fine. Should have no issue going around the scarf. All right, let's get going on the paint. We have the sky to do. That's what we're gonna do first. It's gonna be a very light blue. You need very little blue. It's a very strong color in with a lot of blue. Or sorry, wait, I'm losing it. I've been painting all day. This is my 5th one today. So my eyes are kind of crossed. I got myself a cup of coffee. That should help and should be kicking in any time now. So it's pretty light, maybe a little bit more in there. I am gonna add just a touch of black to this as well, just to kind of dull it so it's not so cheery. Want it to have more of a country vibe. So just a tiny little bit of black. All right. I'm just gonna go right in and start painting the entire sky area. Go right around this little hat. For this, I can just go right over top of. Just make sure your paint is not thick. If you gob on a bunch of paint over there, obviously you're not gonna be able to see through that. So nice thin coat, and as it dries, it does become more visible. Just make sure you're spreading the paint out all over. You don't have any gobs anywhere, regardless if you need to see Sharpie lines or not. Gobby paint is not good. I did push record, didn't I? Oh yes, we're good. All right, so I've got my sky filled in. Maybe a little bit more over here. I can kind of see the canvas showing. Make sure I get all the canvas covered. There, that looks good. Next, I'm going to paint the snow. I'm going to clean my brush out. Just go in with some white paint. Might as well paint the snow and our snowman. Just going to do it white. Dry my brush. And I'll do my snowman face. Go right over all that. Again, no globbies, nice thin paint. Do his body. And the ground. So I can see that pencil line perfectly fine. I'm gonna flip it just because my easel has a lip and it's in the way. Well, I have a dirty thumb apparently. There, that's all filled in. To mark up the rest of it. Okay, now we're going to blend in just a little bit of blue, kind of around his body and in the snow. So just a tiny bit of blue on your brush. You don't need to clean it. I'm just going to kind of mix it with the white that's already in my brush. I'm going to come on these little hills, just lightly. See how subtle that is? You can add maybe a little over here. Maybe some in here. Just subtle amounts. If you get too much on or it's too dark, you don't like it, put more white on it. It may be easier also if you wait for it to dry a little. There, I'm going to do the same to his body a little bit. Place some in here, kind of following the curve. Get some over here, and you can go right through the birdhouse. You'll get a little kind of on the edges of the outside of the scarf, a little shadow. And maybe I tone it down a little over here. That seems a little dark. I'm just putting white back on. Just a little white. put much of, maybe just a smidge on his head. It's kind of around the edge. It is so subtle and light, you barely even can tell. All right, we got the background and our snowman complete. Let's jazz him up a little. We can do the hat next. Just cleaning out my brush. So we're gonna mix up a shade of green. We're gonna start with a dark green and then we're gonna layer on top of a lighter, brighter green. So the dark green, a scoop of black, and with quite a bit of green. And I want a nice big scoop of yellow in there too. And a little bit of white. Keep my hand out of the way. Try to, I'm sorry, I do that all the time. Can't see what I'm doing. So that looks pretty good to me. And with this color, I'm just gonna paint the entire hat. You know what? I am gonna add just a little bit more black to that. Just a skosh. Okay. So again, it doesn't take a lot of paint on your brush. You want to make sure it's all spread out nice and even and you don't have globs. Now I can't really see my pencil line through there, but I know that where the hat folds, it comes up here where it dangles. So that's easy enough to kind of find. It's got a reference point. And I probably need a smaller brush for that little end. And the brim, again, I can figure out where that is. If you're worried, put your Sharpie line on there. Of course, wait for your paint to dry if you've already started, then Sharpie it. If you put your Sharpie on wet paint, it's gonna gum it all up and ruin your Sharpie. Right, I need a smaller brush. Oh, I just put my paintbrush in my coffee. That sucks. I told you, my brain is gone. Oh my God, I just did it again. I'm not allowed to keep my coffee over here. Put it on the table behind me. Still tastes great. Okay, I'm gonna give this another coat. Green, same color, just to get nice even coverage. that looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna let that dry. Meanwhile, because I got other stuff to do, I will just move on to something else. Otherwise, I would blow it dry, but I can paint my birdhouse, the scarf, and my bird. We're gonna do like a burgundy red color. So to mix that up, we're just gonna do red and black. So it's just a little bit of black and with quite a bit of red. Just kind of darken it a little. Let me start with my scarf. Probably should have a smaller brush. These things that I'm going to paint are small, but it does depend on what canvas size you have. If you got the larger one, this is the smallest, this is 8 by 10. If you got a larger one, all these spots are a lot bigger and easier to fill in. The little birdhouse and the bird. I am gonna switch because those are little. So let's do the little bird. It's gonna be a cardinal, so his head is pointy, and he's just kind of a weird, illustrative style. He's not very realistic. Little tail feathers. And then my birdhouse. Make sure you do get your Sharpie covered, at least the side. We'll be using a little black to put the roof on and to put the bottom on. And I think he needs like a little ball on the end of his hat there. That's cute. I'm gonna kind of touch up the scarf, give that another quick coat. It's a little streaky. I'm gonna do some shadowing. Little black, very little black. Darken just a small area of my dark red. So it's just a smidge darker. So as you can see side by side, the darker one is darker. So right in here where the scarf overlays, darken that. Same on this side where they kind of overlap. A little on the bottom edge. Probably should have waited for this to dry better. Instead of showing up darker, it's just kind of blending in with what was there. Yeah, I'm gonna give that a minute. How about my bird? A little dark red on the tail feathers, on the ribbon around his belly, and this little head. He doesn't even, he's just kind of a weird little thing. Let us do the mittens. We'll paint those white. Paint them any color you choose. I'm gonna do them white. Excuse me. Maybe put little stripes or something on them. That'll be cute. Use my small brush and just white paint. A little bit on there at a time. It's not a very big space. Don't need very much paint. I'm gonna go back to my hat. I'm gonna use my smaller brush. I'm going to lighten up my green, take a nice big blob of yellow, and I'm not gonna stir it into all of my green because that would take a lot of yellow and I don't need much. So this is the green that I made earlier to paint the hat, and I'm adding more yellow in, and I'm gonna add more white in. Now I can just kind of stir in a little bit more green to kind of get it the shade I want. That looks pretty good. My brush is just caked right full of paint, so I'm just gonna wipe it out. And then just a little bit of paint on my brush. I'm gonna tapping it in. So my line where this folds over kind of comes up here. So I'm just gonna kind of brush this green up in this area to start. I'm gonna go down the skinny little dangly bit. Just a little bit. I want the end to stay dark. Now I'm gonna come over here, leaving the edge. And this is very, very little paint on my brush. I'm just letting it run out. So this over here, and as I come this way, see how I'm leaving this dark green where it creates this fold. So I just left a little space there. And I can come layer in a little bit more in areas that I want to be a little bit brighter. And I'm going to leave a little space to create the fold of the hat. And I'll make it a little brighter over here. That's pretty cute. Maybe a little closer to this edge so it's not so wide. I like that. That turned out nice. I'm gonna go back to shading in areas on my scarf. Cleaning brush. Tired of that dark red again. Hopefully this time, now that it's dry, it's just this darker red that I made. Added a little bit more black to a little area of my dark red. And I can get these shadows in. So just kind of where they overlap and around the edges. I'm gonna do another coat of just a regular red on my birdhouse. That's kind of looking pink. So this was the original red that we painted that, not the darker one. There, that looks better. Maybe another coat on my mittens. I can see the background showing through them still. A little bit of blue. One more coat will brighten those up, make them look a little better. It's a little white paint, small brush. Make sure you don't rush your hand there if you just put another coat on that. Okay, I'm gonna paint his nose. Nope, I lied. I'm gonna paint, he's gonna have some rosy little cheeks. I'm gonna put those on first. So, just a tad bit of red. Got water dripping off my brush, don't want that. So I got this little bit of red and quite a bit of white. Doesn't take much red at all. Just want it slightly pink. Very little on my brush. Just dabbing it off. And right in the corners, well, right on the ends of both sides of his mouth, you're just gonna put a little circle. Rosy up those cheekies. I'm gonna kind of spread it out a little bit more. Cute. Now I'll do the nose. I'm going to use this burnt orange color that's on my plate. It is going to take a couple coats. Just use very little paint on your brush because it is such a small area. Even on the bigger canvases, that is not a very big nose. And you do need to go over top of the Sharpie. You don't want that to show. That done. Let's finish up the birdhouse. I think that's probably dry enough. I'm just going to take a little black. My little brush. It's a little black. And put the roof on. And across the bottom, a little line. And it does need a little hole for the bird to get in. I don't think I have a brush over here small enough to put a little hole. I'm just gonna use the back end of my brush, dip it in a little bit of paint, and then very lightly dab it on so that I don't have a massive dot. Just a little hole in it. What else can we do? I really do need a smaller brush. Let us put his arms in. I guess they're sticks, if you will. Just trace right over top of your Sharpie line. I use the edge of my brush so I can get a thinner line. Who had to sneeze? Excuse me. And this is black. I don't know if I said that. Just using a little black. Oh, that one got a little thick. Can do his little eyeballs. I'm going to do the back end of my brush again and dot them on. A little bigger than that. I can dot on his buttons too. Cute. Do another coat on the nose. Oh, this is so cute. I'm liking him. He's adorable. What was I gonna do? I don't even remember. Oh, another coat on the nose. Another coat of burnt orange on his carrot. Careful not to put your hand in any wet paint. Very cute. I'm gonna take a little bit of my dark green, still have it here, that I made, because I only used a little area of it to lighten it. And I think right on the edge of his hat needs to be darkened just a smidgen. There. How about we do, what's he need? I got some pencil lines I can see. I'm not digging that. I'm gonna take just a little bit of my light blue. I don't really want to outline him, but I don't really want him to have that either. A little bit of my sky color, lighten it with a little white. I'm just gonna lightly draw that line over. I'd rather have it with that than the pencil showing. Okay, we still need to do his little eye dots and not his eye dots, his mouth. Need a little string coming off the birdhouse so that it's makes sense. I'm gonna use a gray. I'm using my long skinny brush. I don't like this brush. Ooh, that was a lot of black. A little bit of black and white. Make a nice gray. I'm gonna thin it using some water. I just dip my brush in my water jar, and whatever water is on my bristles, I'm just gonna stir it right in. Don't need a lot, just enough to thin it out. It just helps it go on nice and smooth. And let's see, I'm gonna have it just kind of swirl around here. Kind of just, he's dangling. And then on the mittens, I'm gonna put some, let's do, I don't know, what color stripes? How about I use some of my darkened red, a little bit of white, a little more white. And I'll put some stripes on there. Thin it with a little water. Just dip my brush. Oops, wrong color. It's about the same though. And just put some very skinny little stripes across. And you could do them whatever color you wish or not put them on at all. Doesn't matter. It's up to you. And let's get that smile on. So, I've got this skinny brush. Might be too skinny. I need to cover that Sharpie. I don't want it to be too fat either. I'm gonna use the bigger one. Go nice and slow and be careful. I'm gonna just a little black, get that line. Maybe even a little water. Very little paint on your brush. It's just a small little line. to maybe use the thinner one. I kind of want to put little on, but it's a smaller brush. There, her little cheeks. And what else does it need? Maybe a couple trees. How about a couple trees? I know everybody loves painting trees. I'm gonna use my long skinny brush and a little black. And put a couple little goofy pine trees in. 1, 2, and have one over here. These are easy trees. You can do them. And some needles. I use my dark green. Dark green that I made. And I'm just gonna put little doodads. As goofiest little trees ever. There. That one looks kind of weird. I think he's done. Maybe some stitching on the hat. I'm just going to use my dark green. Maybe add just a little bit more black. Thin it with some water, especially if you're sitting here a while, it gets thick. So to dry out. I'm just going to put a little bit of stitching, just little dash marks across the top of his hat. Little detail. I think he looks pretty dang cute though. I think he's done. The only thing I wish, my smile was a little thinner, but otherwise, pretty cute. Maybe I can fix it. I don't know. Sometimes things are better left alone. I'm gonna take a little white. Just kind of thin it out a little. Now it just looks like he's got weird shadow. I need my pink. Need my pink. Don't know if that's better. I really don't think it's worse, which is good. All right, I think that guy is done. I like him. Oh, you know what he needs? He needs some snow. He is a snowman. It needs to be snowing. I'm going to take my small brush, a little bit of white paint. Just going to go in and do little snowflakes all over. decorated snow. That got weird. Done. Alright, sign my name. Maybe a little white and a little light blue. Sign it down in the snow. Fabulous. Well, I hope you enjoyed making your little snowman. I did. I think he turned out quite cute. Keep an eye out for more videos, more tutorials, different paint kits. I should be offering more as the weeks go by. Every time I paint now, I do it in front of camera so that you guys can have your kits at home and stay cozy and warm and do them with your friends and family. All right, thank you.